Hello, you're watching my YouTube channel. I'm your host, kamranarshad. Today, I've invited a guest to my vlog, and I'm going to discuss her life, her visions, her goals, and most importantly, her field. So today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with Jenn Bregg, an esteemed international news journalist whose background in communications brings a unique perspective to the world of reporting. Join me as we delve into Jenn Bregg's insights and experiences in the field. Hey, Jenn Bregg, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's nice to see you again.
Oh, thanks. What are you doing nowadays? How have you been nowadays, actually?
Actually, what I'm doing right now is I'm writing a book about some experiences I had working in different countries around the world,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the challenges I had doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And Yeah, so I'm enrolled in a 1 year writing course, and so I'm kind of doing that at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, you have mentioned that you have about the challenges, right? What challenges you are facing to writing a book? What do you mean of this?
Well, I think if you're going to write about yourself, you have to be really, really honest and maybe put in some details that are really personal and vulnerable. And, some of it for me is pretty emotional. So um, it's hard to write about difficult situations that I've lived in. Um, but, there is a good story at the end of it, which is that I'm still here and I'm still doing well in my life. And and also writing is hard. I don't know if any of your viewers are writers or want to be writers, but depending on what you're writing, it's not that easy. And
Okay,
writing about yourself can be really difficult. Yeah.
okay. What's this book about?
Um, it's about me. I used to work in a newsroom up until almost over 2 years ago. And, I worked at night, I worked long days, and it was during the pandemic, and it was a really difficult time for me personally. So I actually moved to Paris after that, which is like my dream. I always wanted to do that since I was a kid, and I saved enough money to do that, and I got to heal and go to the doctor and take French class and do all the things
Mm,
I always wanted to do,
mm.
and I was able to do that.
Okay, that's great. That's great. What life taught you so far?
I'm sorry, say again.
What life taught you?
What has
Did
life told me?
Yeah, what life taught you actually? What did you learn from the life? Have you write
Oh,
in
what
this?
life has
Have you written
taught
in
me? What
about the life in this book?
life has taught me that I shouldn't be afraid of doing things that are not comfortable. That I know, in the United States, a lot of people talk about that, leaving your comfort zone and doing something different. And, it's really scary. But if you don't try, you're going to regret it. And I have done a lot of things in my life, and I've lived in a lot of places, and there are still things that I regret doing or not doing. But all of that is a learning lesson, and it's never too late. Like, I can still do things that I've always do the things I want, even if it's scary. Yeah.
Okay. Did you face any scary situation in your life, and what was that?
Oh gosh. You know, um, One of the scariest situations I ever had, and I'm writing about this, is that I worked for a Chinese company. I lived in Beijing, and I went to work in their newsroom that they started in Kenya, in Nairobi, the capital. And it was a really difficult time. It was, it's not a very safe place, especially for a single
Females?
woman. And
Okay.
I had to stay inside a lot. Hmm? Yeah. And it was just really scary. And I was there for 7 months. I was going to stay for 2 years, but I stayed for 7 months. And my apartment got broken into, and my things got stolen. And that was really difficult for me. And I know that in certain parts of the world, that's the way life is. Sometimes you're going to get robbed, you know, but for me, China was so safe. And then Kenya was just, it was just, I had to be vigilant all the time. And it really took a toll on me. So I had to leave, basically.
So did you share these things or difficulties with the officials that you are facing these kind of difficulties, or there are some scenarios you are talking
Yes.
about?
Well, officials, I mean, it was really hard because I was working for a Chinese company. It's a different culture from my own. It's not my home country, so that, I wasn't able to talk to Chinese officials, but I talked to my company bosses, and at some point I had to go to the police in Kenya because it's a long story, but there was a lot of drama around my apartment that I was renting, and trying to get my deposit back was really difficult. So I did have to go to the police, but I didn't go until much, much later because
Mm,
people told me, don't go to the police. You can't trust them. But of course, I shouldn't have listened to them. I should have just gone to the police, but another lesson learned in life.
that's great. It was a bad lesson, but the lesson, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, then, what inspired you to pursue a career as a voiceover artist and freelance writer? Because we are
Well,
talking about
I
the writing
worked,
skills, so that's why I'm asking this kind of question.
yeah, sure. And, I think I've been working in television news since 2005. And, once in a while, I would be asked to voice, a soundbite, or voice a package that I had written and produced, a story that I wrote and produced. And people gave me really good feedback about my voice. They said, wow, you have a really good voice. And I, of course I was like, oh, thank you,
Definitely,
and
you have a beautiful voice and a look as well, I must say.
yes, thank you. And yes, thank you. And when I went to China, they're always, in China, there's a huge drive for parents to get their children to learn English. And so somehow I got hooked up with a man who has a recording studio, and he would have me and a man with an American accent. We would get together and record different dialogues in textbooks. And his name was Mr. Wong. And Mr.
Mm.
Wong was like, "Oh, I love your voice." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And and then I just kept working in TV and using my voice. And it's something that I really like doing. I love doing voice work. And I even had a production studio in China who had me sort of do demos for different advertisements or product launches and things like that. And that was really, really fun because that also involved acting.
Hmm. Okay, then
Um,
you're talking
yeah.
about speaking skills or an accent as well. If I want to improve my accent or my fluency, like Americans, now what should I do?
Well, I
First of all,
just,
tell me about
I'm on
my accent and
LinkedIn.
my fluency. Then you need to tell me the practice that what should I do?
Well, here's the thing. There are companies in the world that are looking for someone with a South Asian accent. Okay. For example, and of course, they classify it, American female English accent. That would be me.
Yeah.
For you, Pakistan, South, or South Asian male accent. And so I'm on LinkedIn all the time, for example, the professional website, and I'm constantly looking up different jobs for voiceover. So I search voiceover, and then any worldwide, those are my search criteria.
Can I get
And
any
then
of
believe
this?
it or not,
Do
there
you
are
think that can I do
accents.
any of this? Because
Mhm.
I am doing a job in US campaign right now, and I am trying to improve my American accent as well. So what do you think? I have an American accent, or should I practice a lot, or how can I improve my accent or fluency skill?
I think if you want to take on an American accent, you would have to live in the United States for 40 years. So
Oh
I don't think it's possible. But
yeah.
it's like me doing a Pakistan accent. I can't do it. I'm not from there, so it's really difficult. I could do